possible over some northern and inland areas. That's us this afternoon and offshore tonight. Well, it's here already in the capital city of Belmopan. It was raining almost the entire night, and it's still very high humidity at the present moment in Belmopan. Marine conditions, winds are blowing from the north to northeast at 5 to 15 knots with waves choppy and 3 to 5 feet tall. Temperatures, inland expect 84 degrees as the high with 67 as the low. That's pretty low. On the coast, 81 will be the high with 71 as the 81 will be the high with 71 as the low. And then in the hills, 72 will be the high with 61 as the low, which for us is cold, right? And outlook for Wednesday and Wednesday night, cloudy at times with a few showers or light rain lingering, mostly over some coastal areas and offshore. So that is the weather report for today. And Scott, yes, actually, the independent media houses, we have Channel 5, Channel 7, there's Love FM, Creme, there's PlusTV, and then in the north we have Centaur, and those make up primarily the national media houses. Of late in Belize City there is Colorblind, which was started by Audrey Wallace, who was the cabinet secretary for Prime Minister Dean Barrow under the former administration. Those are generally the media houses, with the first 5 that I mentioned being the national media houses that carry the national news. And essentially, as we tried to put together the press conference for yesterday, we tried to at least get the major 5 that we have always worked together under certain circumstances. I was not responsible for contacting them, so I can't say who said yes or who said no. I just was like, yes, I'm going to drop everything and be there. And so it turned out with 3. We wound up with 3, even though the other 2 media houses did send their representatives. I think I saw 2 people plus a camera operator from Channel 5, and at least 1 person introduced themselves as being from Channel 7. So that's just to respond to the people who have been asking, where is this one and where is that one? In media, everybody still speak only for themselves, really. And it is more than one time that I've been able to work together with Jules and Mose Hyde. 3 of us are morning talk show hosts in a way. When it comes to Channel 5, the owner, who is Lord Michael Ashcroft, he don't do that. And then now we see he is involved in this particular matter. And then Love FM, there was a time when Rene Senior was involved in morning talk. He's not there. His son now runs the show. He doesn't do morning talk. So like 3 of us that ended up on the press conference are those who on an almost daily basis interact with the general audience. So that's just how I'm going to put it. I'm not going to ascribe anything to the others. I know that this morning on Channel 5, Isani was talking about the fact that in the past, the Barrow administration censored them. That was the word that he used. And Love FM, with listening to them this morning, at least one of the talk show hosts, he was not happy that Michael Ashcroft reared his head on the matter. So there are still comments out there across the spectrum of the 5.
Oh, it's nice that they said that. I think it was great that Michael Ashcroft reared his head, because if that's the truth, then the truth needs to come out. Like you were saying, Louis, that there's a lot of secrecy that was going on behind this whole thing, and we didn't have numbers in many areas until when Michael Ashcroft came and actually brought numbers, and brought clarity. And okay, now we can see clearly and immediately what happened. the cable companies said we're bowing out, you're right. And so I think it was good because it's the truth. It's the truth. And but what I was having a difficulty with was the fact that there was so much secrecy for months. Like, people have known about this. We heard rumblings and stuff like that. But then that everything was just kept under wraps and nobody knows what's going on. So I think it's important that the truth come out.
Yes, and what I found interesting is that when Michael Ashcroft came out with that press release on Sunday evening to Sunday night, and said that he's not aware of the other two, like this is my thing, like this is the part that I am involved in. Immediately after, between Sunday night and Monday morning, both Centaur and Next Gen backed out. They backed out. And to me, I read that as Michael Ashcroft saying, back off. You are damaging my deal.
Yeah.
That's how I read that. Back off, you're damaging my deal. And immediately, both of them backed off. Like, it was shocking to me to see the speed with which, because up to that point, Mark Lizarraga was batting full, it was like full speed ahead, you know, like,
with this package deal.
With this package
and
deal.
This is the best thing for the people of
Yeah.
Belize. And I'm sitting there going, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, and so we want to talk about it this morning. I'm sure a lot of everyone has been tuned in to all the different media inputs that are coming into it, but we want to talk about it this morning because, Louis, to me, the primary driver is what's in the best interest for the nation of Belize and for the people of Belize. And you sit as a senator, and there's some people that want to change the Senate to an elected Senate. Those social partner senators, Louis, they are the only semblance of true democracy, because the social partner senators are able to actually vote on whether or not the issue is actually good for the people. It has nothing to do with PUP or UDP. It's those four right there. And I want to say kudos to all four of you for taking a strong stand, looking at this issue and saying, this is not in the best interest. How are the people of Belize going to benefit from this maneuver that's going to take place? And the truth of the matter is, they're not. We will be forced to buy a telecom monopoly, and then we're going to have to pay for what we were just forced to buy by the raising of the rates, because there's no competition.
Yeah, I'm wondering, Scott, how is it that BTL keeps coming up in the history of our country? In the history, because as a child I enjoyed BTA. As I said, you used to go to the post office in PG, and you could send a telegram, cable and wireless.
That's right.
You know, you could.
You remember the old black phone there at the post office? The handle weighed about 2 pounds, right?
We have a caller on the air. We do want to hear from you, our viewers, this morning, 822-2031. Whether you WhatsApp it to 610-5679, you call 822-2031, or you post on the comment if you are watching us on stream. We want to hear your comments. Carla, good morning. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I am watching this whole detail thing unfold. And for some time now I've been saying that we need antitrust laws in Belize. I've been saying for some time, then this would have had to go through Parliament. And we would have known exactly what was the objective of the whole situation. That whole thing is uninvestable. Cable and TV, as we know it, is on its way to the burial ground. And that is why Lord Ashcroft decided to unload his interest on the Belizean people. I have to say the Belizean people, because had we bought it, or had it been approved, we would have paid the consequences. Smart right now, not even the for 4G, then the for LTE, old technology. All the cables, they realize it, from the African cable start to jump. It start come show that this will happen. Yet, so they decide to unload it and make we the taxpayers hold the pussy in the bag. And it's alarming. What interests me was that the Prime Minister, after always saying that he not get involved, it is noted that he was calling those directors directly in trying to influence their decisions on the issue. Yet, even today, the other guy tell he not involved. But he was making calls to influence those directors. Louis, on the other side, the Starlink, which went over Iran, is being blocked. So even Starlink could get stuck by either Russian or Chinese technology. But even though Starlink has been over Iran at the moment, it is being blocked by either one of those countries. That to me is interesting.
Yeah, it is blocked, but based on the information I am receiving, that satellite has various options to bypass those blocks. It might take a couple of days, but that they have options to bypass those blocks.
It's quite possible, but that I'm just saying that technology develops and other technology comes along.
That is absolutely true. Absolutely true.
One other thing. Ali in Belize, Guyana's president is due in Belize around the end of the month. I think the first or the second. I am wondering if in all this included another Petro-Carib will sign. We've got to be careful. Agreements will be signed, and will they be beneficial to Belize, or will we charge them like how we charge the Venezuelans? And I'm looking forward to that one. Thank you. Have a pleasant day.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Very interesting conversation, and this is one of our faithful viewers, very knowledgeable about the telecommunications industry, Scott. So several important comments you brought up, but the last one I'd like to take a bite there. Guyana, yes, the president of Guyana is coming to Belize. I am glad he is, because I had shared a couple days last week about Venezuela's claim on Guyana, yet Belize had remained silent about that because of Petro-Caribe. Now, I think we at PlusTV, we at Rise and Shine in specific, were against Petro-Caribe because there was waste, there was tremendous wastage, plus it was an agreement with a dictator who the people in Venezuela were starving. I remember some of those conversations, but then we were eating pibil and tacos off the Petro-Caribe money. So the difference, I believe, is that Guyana is an independent state. It is in CARICOM. It is a thriving democracy. It's a democracy. So they have to go through a non-puppet process if any such agreement is up. is signed, plus the Guyanese people, they are people who hold their government responsible, so there will be no deals where they're just free petroleum to come over in exchange for some kind of diplomatic anti-American position, etc., etc. So if Belize can strike a deal with Guyana that is transparent, where both nations can benefit, I am for that, because Guyana is one of us. Guyana, that the only pictures our Caribbean country, when I look, it look worse than Belize street. It look like some parts of Guyana, I'm just saying, it look like PG when I'm small. And like it's a nation that, and I have felt good that Guyana found mass amount of petroleum that can actually transform their life. I wish that for Belize. But we have different protocols. But a transparent deal that benefits both nations as it relates to petroleum is in the best interest of the Caribbean. But again, the details and the transparency is needed.
Yeah, and Luis, it's a big thing. Question for you is Guyana and Venezuela's border dispute claim, is that at ICJ, or is it just kicking under the table still?
I think it got solved when Maduro was.
But it never went to the ICJ.
No, because Venezuela is a rogue nation, you know. And Guyana tries to abide by the law. And that's why Belize should have had made very strong comments in regards to Guyana's sovereignty, but the Caribbean, they were playing footsie with Venezuela and couldn't come out with a solid position, and that's the problem with Petrocaribe and Venezuela. I am so happy for the Venezuelan people, and I will put it one step further. I am happy along with the Venezuelan people for what has happened with Maduro, and I am hopefully optimistic that the nation can be set free to where their economic viability, that the wealth that they sit on, which now will no longer be abused by China and Russia at $20 a barrel, at least they can now get market prices through the intervention of the United States of America.
Yeah, and so exactly. But Luis, one of the things in relation to that with Venezuela, their whole goal with Petrocaribe was just to shove a stick up the United States' nose. That was the main thing that they wanted to do. But I was shocked when I dug in and did some research, Luis. It's like 8 to 10 million Venezuelans are in the surrounding countries around Venezuela because they had to flee for their lives to be able to survive what was happening with Chavez and with Maduro. And then I looked up on AI, I asked a simple question. How many people were put to death under Chavez and Maduro? And AI's answer was, it's unclear, but it's in the multiple tens of thousands of people that were extrajudicially executed by Chavez and Maduro, and so like this is literally murdering your own people. And so anyways,
Scott, I think within a week of his capture and extradition, well, it's not extradition, and his capture and removal to the United States, Venezuela, the new interim president, released 800 political prisoners, or hundreds.
Many of them were pastors.
And
too.
many of them pastors.
Yes. Why would a nation be imprisoning pastors?
Exactly.
That tells you exactly what's going on.
It tells you, Scott.
And yet the liberal left, like, I cannot believe.
And some Christians too.
Yes.
Right here in Belize.
Yes.
Right here, some Christians in Belize. Some Christians in Belize. Like what I want to ask these Christians, like what were pastors doing in the 800 political prisoners? And how do you account for 800 political prisoners if it's not a dictatorship that should be terminated? And how could they be released without without going through the court. How could they just go, walk free, go? Huh? It shows you that there were trumped up charges. It shows you there was not a judicial process. It shows you that 800 people were in prison because of their political opinion. And you dare support Maduro, and just because of your hatred for Trump, you can't see the benefit. You can't rejoice with the Venezuelan people. You can't be happy that pastors are coming out of prison because they preach the gospel and they probably said something with it. Like I don't know, Scott. You know, maybe I don't know, but maybe I know. I give God thanks for my parents. I give God thanks for my parents. When we were children, there used to be some newsletters that come in that were about martyrs and about number of people that were in prison in USSR. And I could recall as a child reading these reports. And I don't know if they came in monthly, but it was just over and over. I got to read of these reports of Christians that were crying out to God for deliverance from dictatorship, from the USSR, from socialism, from Cuba, from China. And I was a child. I am 55 years old now. And you think I will not rejoice for what is happening in Iran? I will not rejoice for what is happening in Venezuela? And may the Lord make it such that Cuba will be free.
That's right.
That's my belief.
Right. And you will see,
That's my belief.
You will see the crowds of people in the United States and other countries of Cubans worshiping God and dancing in the streets, right? Exactly. And so I've been to Cuba, and I've talked with dear Cuban friends, and they told us exactly what's going on and just the level of control. And same exact thing, political prisoners, just because of a different political opinion, and people are locked up in prison and they die there.
Scott, when our Constitution preserves freedom of expression, freedom of conscience, freedom of speech, and then press freedoms. Our Constitution at the present moment does not specifically include press freedoms. But the four things go hand in hand. First, there is freedom of conscience. Then, freedom of conscience needs freedom of expression. Because having the freedom of conscience and not having freedom of expression, then just to tell you, keep it in your head. And then with freedom of expression, the primary way that we express is through speech. Therefore, the freedom of speech is vitally important. And then the mechanism and medium through which that speech is disseminated for public consumption, agreement, disagreement, opinion, whatever, is the press. Those four things. And so I look for those four things. And the first thing that communists and socialists come for is freedom of the press, and then it works itself back and curtail. And I can't believe that, again, within this knowledge-based environment, there are Belizeans that would want to suppress free speech. And there are two areas you see free speech. One is political dialogue, and the second one is religious dialogue.
That's right.
It's the two. It's the two, political and religious. That's why the pastors end up in prison. Let's take this, Carl, including in Muslim countries. Carla, good morning. We want to hear from you.
Two things I forget.
Morning.
Right now, only the older people that believe they use cable. The younger people, the older people no use of technology, or they can't use technology, so only then they use cable. The other thing is large Ashcraft, 77%. He no get rid of money. He unload when he's in trouble. And he's in trouble, that's smart, so he need to get off of the bandwagon before he crash. When right now the money where they get, the interest rate they get from BTL, where that they go? Is it Turks and Caicos Island? That's not the state of Belize. Belize to Ife for him keep the money that Belize. So more than likely, right now for him money that takes the interest rate to get. Far smart. You got our Turks and Caicos. Thank you.
Yep. It's a money drain that goes out of
Yeah.
Belize. Yep.
Yeah, I sent a YouTube video because the oncoming threat, it's practically here, because remember that SpaceX, Starlink applied already to Belize, and
There was a reaction.
there was a reaction instant. There was a reaction. Now, that technology, understand clearly that that technology will take over the industry. The government can only block it for a period of time. And I don't see it to be a long time because Trump is in, and after and after Trump probably J.D. Vance or who knows, Marco Rubio. I'm just watching from a distance. But you cannot keep technology back. You can through your government, which is what we're doing right now, slow it down, and then there's only
This right here is my
rural areas, this, that. But I'm telling you, it's going to come into your phone. It's going to come in. Mark my words, Scott, it will come directly to your phone, where the phone will bypass. You can't stop that technology. And you could play the video because I just want to show it. I don't want the video to talk. I need to show people it's in Mexico, it's in Guatemala, it's not in Belize. So this one that you are seeing right now is not Starlink. This is Amazon. This year, 2026, Amazon releases Leo. Leo is already smaller than Starlink, Scott, and is cheaper. It may be introduced as low as 150 US for the device. I think Starlink is between $300 and $500 for the device. Leo is trying to hit 150 US dollars, and then the subscriptions, they're expecting that the subscriptions monthly payment will be around 65 US. And so very, very shortly, there is going to be competition for Starlink. Not to mention the knockoffs that the Chinese will then start to push into the industry, and then the Europeans, etc., etc. So we are talking about a now matter.
Yeah.
And
But it's a perfect case in point, Lewis, that competition keeps the market pure.
exactly.
Competition keeps the market pure. Do you
Exactly.
remember this back in the day when BTL was blocking VoIP, voice over internet
Exactly.
protocol?
Exactly.
Because we used to use some of the different devices where you could talk over the internet, and BTL was blocking those.
Yeah.
And then finally they woke up and said, you know what? We got to do fiber optic. We got to get it in front of this. And I remember them talking about, you're going to be watching TV through the internet. And I'm like going, yeah, right. We could barely get, barely get enough bandwidth to be able to send an email, and you're going to but so said, so done. And who's in the buying market now on this issue? It's BTL. Why? Because they discerned where the thing was going. Competition keeps the market pure. You remove the competition and they get sluggish, and then they start to raise rates and start to gouge the people.
The best prices and the best technology we have received in this country has been since the competition started.
Yes.
Best prices, packages, you couldn't believe. Now they're like what? You can buy a package where it's 5 phones 5 phones. I think we have a package where it's like 5 phones.
Family
yeah,
thing,
family,
yeah.
and you know, it's 5 phones on one account, and then you get this huge bundle of data, and we get it from Smart. It's Smart that we are using, where one of the phones is unlimited, and the other phones you can distribute. At the end of the month, we still have leftover data. Who would have thought that the time would come when you have leftover data at the end of the month? And why? Because of competition. So I am sorry, but I do not buy the arguments that telemedia is putting forward as to why we need to go back to a monopoly. And my opening comments were, I don't have a problem that people want to sell their assets. I don't think we can tell a group of people, no, you can't sell that. But we can certainly tell a company that has a monopolistic mentality, you not buy it. No, you. Somebody else. I don't know if it's foreign investors. I don't know if local investors. I don't know if Ashcraft maybe should sell off to Renan and Jaime. Let the Briseño own more shares. If I have no problem. Go find a buyer. Go find a buyer, Michael Ashcraft. Why are you looking at the government money? Why are you looking at government money? You have people all over the world.
Elon Musk will buy it. Amazon will buy it.
I'm sure. You know. So why is Michael Ashcraft coming back to government after receiving huge lump sums of money under the previous administration? Yeah. And now they know where the golden goose is, Belize, and we have to protect the golden goose so that it can be used the money can be used in other areas, social security money, government of Belize money, rather than Ashcraft wants to sell BTL. Ooh, me. That's what's going on here, or at least that's my impression of it. Meanwhile, my understanding, as I said, is that they're still trying to frame it like BTL wants to buy. No, it is very clear now, Ashcraft wants to sell. Right. They want to sell. But now, because the veil has been ripped apart and Belizeans are not interested, now we see that the deal is, they're trying to reshuffle it. And I am appalled at the audacity of Michael Ashcraft. Because we have tried in the past just to say, oh, you know, he's a businessman, whatever. But Ashcraft, they come back for more after that big deal that you struck. You know, this is a bottomless pit. This is a bottomless pit. And to see that the government was lining up to facilitate, and we still don't know, Scott, we still don't know.
Well, if he gets what he wants and then we attach our things to what he wants, then we sell all of them together. Well, now that's all broken up, right? And so anyways, let the truth come out. But the golden goose, Lewis, is the people of Belize. And that's why it's so important that, folks, you need to speak up. You need to realize this is extremely serious. There was something in the news last night, the former chairman of the PUC saying that there are laws that are antitrust in nature. What do they call it? Competition elimination, right? There are laws. But Lewis, we all know that the laws of Belize only apply to the opposition, right? It never applies to the ones that are in power. And it seems that the laws can be applied arbitrarily, you know. Sometimes it's the law and sometimes it's not the law. And so we need something stronger. But I remember as a kid, Lewis, I can't remember all the specific details, but the Bell Phone Company was leveraging for one global monopoly of telecommunications in the United States. And the government of the United States stepped in and said, no, you cannot do this. They broke it up. They actually the government divided it into different companies. Bell didn't do that. The government divided it and said, this is how it's going to be in order to stop the trust, this monopoly.
The market is always too small.
Yes, yes, yes. And so, but
you understand what I mean by the
yes,
bigger
yes,
the market for them, you know, so the essence of too small market will always be at play. Yet you have countries that have only 50,000, 70,000, and they have telecommunications too. We are at 400,000, you know, which is 50,000 times 8. We are there, and yet the market is too small. The market, I bet you for those American companies that were, what would have been their argument? You know, the bigger market, you know, we can, it's, you know, so.
Yeah. It's true. And Louis, I think one of the important things for us to understand is, I'm kind of shocked at the disingenuousness of the arguments that are being put forth, right? But we've got too many companies, there's too many resources in infrastructure, and all of those costs are being passed on to the consumer. And it's like, are you kidding me? There's too many taco vendors, and so because there's so many taco vendors, the costs of all of those other are being passed on to the consumers. No, 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 no. Competition keeps the market pure. So somebody's going to put a little awning off of their little taco thing and put some chairs and some tables and get some music going, you know, and they're going to provide a better service. How much meat are they putting in their tacos? We're going to put another scoop in ours, and everybody's going to start to come there. Competition keeps the market pure. But this whole thing that these excess resources that have been spent is going to be passed on to the consumer, no. The ones that can't compete are going to have to drop out of the market. But Louis, I'm on a little bit of a rant here, but we're in a Kodak moment, folks. Back in the days, the commercials, you know, the Kodak moment, the family, you know, all together, everybody taking it. No, 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 no. Kodak moment has changed. Kodak is now the example of a company that refused to discern the changing environment, and they were still doing cameras with film while everything else is going digital, and Kodak got left out in the cold, and they wound up with nothing. There's no such thing as Kodak anymore. And the reason why is because they didn't discern the changing market and adapt, whereas others, new companies came up on the digital and took over, and Kodak was left. So they stand as a pinnacle or an example of the failure to adjust. Why? Because competition keeps the market pure. And so I just want to encourage everybody, this is so important for us to be able to understand that what is going to happen with this telecom thing is it's going to form this monopoly thing. It's like one company with no competition. And Louis, going back to Michael Ashcroft and BTL and Smart, back in those days when the government took it away, we came into that year and I noticed, what? We went through New Year's and there's no double up, you know, for digital. Then we come into February, Valentine's, there's no double up. What? We come into March, 9th of March, no double up. What's going on? There's no double up, no more double up anymore. Then we found out that Michael Ashcroft had BTL and had the majority share in Smart. No competition. So no more promotions, no more sales, no more. We got to do something better to get the other guys because there is no other guys. It's all just one interest. That's part of the reason why the government did what they did. Lo and behold, Christmas 2025. No double up. Huh, interesting. We come into January 1st, New Year's, no double up. That's when I knew this deal, they're pushing it. Yeah. They're trying to push this. There's no more competition in their minds already. Yes.
In their minds. You see, and the law, Belize law is clear because it was read, I think it was read yesterday by Jules. This is in the Telecommunications Act. There is an anti-competitive agreement. Point 4, a licensee shall not enter into or give effect to any agreement arrangement, or understanding which has the purpose or has or is likely to have the effect of significantly lessening competition in any market for the supply of telecommunication services or of any product used in connection with telecommunication services. So this law is very clear. It says shall not enter a licensee, and that applies both to Smart, because Smart is a licensee and Telemedia is a licensee. They shall not enter into or give effect to any agreement or arrangement or understanding which has the purpose or is likely to have the effect of significantly lessening competition. Why? Because competition is what benefits the consumer.
Yes, yes.
Everybody want a monopoly. If you are a businessman, you want a monopoly. If you are like right here in Belmopan, there is in the city itself there is one gas station. The other gas stations are on the highway. You don't think they want to stay, make it be one, and you don't think they will do what it takes if they could to keep it one. And the fact that another one is coming up and there will be two, you don't think that that's worrying to the owner? And he is not going, oh, this will be bad for the customers. He's going, this will be bad for me. It will be bad for me. You know, so to have these people actually come to the public to try to sell a monopoly, you know, I think it's because they sold Belizeans the butane one.
Thing. Yes.
The butane one, I think that's what happened.
Yes.
So butane.
Yeah, I noticed they're using the same line of reasoning on that, and then applying that to this, and I'm like going, no, that's not going to fly.
And butane that are $5.50 now, when butane used to be at $3.50.
Yeah.
And that's why I tell you, Scott, I am worried about the Belize education system.
Yes.
I am worried because, like I'm watching the live of these 3 media houses, right? That are we're having this press conference, and there are people underneath it in their comments. Yes, you have the people who are saying, oh, thank you, we didn't know that. We didn't recognize that media is connected to communications. You have the people that are thinking. And then you have the people where just they cuss out Jews, cuss out X, cuss out me, or cuss out Johnny Briseño, or cuss out Ash. Like they have nothing concrete. I don't have a problem.
They don't actually understand the issue.
Yeah, that's why I said, like, I'm reading some of these comments and I go like, something is wrong with our education system, where a significant, it is not an insignificant number, unfortunately, it's a significant number of our people cannot understand or cannot communicate or cannot participate in dialogue without being offensive. Sorry. And somebody wrote that I not say enough. And I'll translate it. I not say enough people they cuss out using words like blank and blank yet on this thread. I was like, whoa, you know. No one. I've been doing a lot of blocking. I tell you since.
I saw you switched over to only.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to work because I have 15,000 followers, and as I'm researching it, when I go to only friends, the followers we still won't be able to see it, because I thought that by moving public to friends, only the friends and followers.
I'm sure there's some way that Facebook will get some money out of you to fix whatever your problem is, right?
It's a mess. But like, just to reduce the number of bots, the number of just stupid comments. Now, stupid comments is a price you pay for free speech.
And for getting smart comments.
Yeah, it's a price you pay. But how can we minimize it? That's my personal issue, of course. But in general, just watching the comments, because certainly Jules has his audience. They trust him. Mose has his audience. They trust him. I have an audience. They trust me. So when you have a combination, like you don't have to, but you ought to say, I need to pay attention here. Like something is happening here. You know, in some people's head, that's still not big. I am concerned, but for my nation, because there are other matters. I think 2026 will be a turbulent year globally. Yeah. 2026 is a year of what I call a disruption. Yeah. And disruption is not always a bad thing. Right?
It's part of how change comes.
It's part of how change comes, and it's going to be that kind of
year. Evolution and revolution in companies or corporations, right? Yeah. Wait a minute. We like evolution in companies, but revolution, but it's part of the cycles of change, right? And so it's happening in Iran right now.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And it creates development. It can create development. Right? But really and truly, what you need during those periods of time is dialogue. You need different points of view.
Communication, which requires media.
That is correct.
That's
and
right.
It requires media. And you have there's a whole subset of people who come to cuss you out. Who come to just, why cuss out Johnny Briseno? Why cuss out Michael Ashcroft? Why cuss out even Mark Lizaraga? I have respect for all of these people. They have done good things to us as well in helping us as PlusTV. It's not a personal matter. Right. It is a matter.
Philosophical.
Yes, it's a philosophical matter as it relates to a monopoly and the past experiences with monopolies that we have had, and the use of that technology to stifle free speech. Let's keep the communication there. So I don't try to be disrespectful to any of the players. They have families. They have, some of them go to church. They're trying their best to live the life of Christ out in that very tough and secular domain. I'm not interested in offending people per se, while at the same time I want to be able to stand my ground, because just the first time the rumors came out, like I had an adverse reaction to no, we're not going back. We can't go back. I have to say something about this. And it's not even a merger, it's a takeover. It's not a hostile takeover. There was dialogue, but it is the creation of a monopoly. We've seen how that played out before, right. and we don't want it. I don't have to offend anybody. Well, they may take offense to what is said, but the intention was not offense. It was clarifying and standing upon a position.
That's right. But Louis, again, in free enterprise, survival of the fittest, and I don't think any of us want to see somebody lose out. And I understand people have invested lots of money into these companies or whatever, but then if you're gonna make this move to save these ones, then you need to. We're gonna have to go back. And we're going to have to pay for the failed Intelco, plus all the taco vendors that didn't make it, and all the other businesses that didn't make it, because if we're going to use government money in order to bolster up these different issues, and so then you need to do that with everybody, and then that's where it becomes wrong. That's where it becomes an unethical issue, because you're talking about an inside job with people that are all involved in government that say that they are recusing themselves, but they're the major players and they're family members, and so this thing, it cannot happen. It cannot happen. It's not just creating a monopoly, Lewis, it's actually creating a monster. And mark my words, if this thing goes through, it's gonna spin right back around and raise rates and start sucking out from the people of Belize.
Absolutely.
You know?
And we will do it with old technology and block out the new technology. Because that's the exact, we are going the exact route of where government blocked VoIP.
Yeah.
With the consent or push of the monopoly telemedia, with the argument that they needed to protect their old technology, they blocked VoIP from the people of Belize. Look at the amount of economic activity that access to VoIP has created. People who have made business run man. Look at the amount of progress to the nation of Belize that telemedia was blocking and the government was agreeing to with old technology. And they're doing exactly the same thing with Starlink. They're heading down exactly the same road where they are blocking a modern technology from the people of Belize and simultaneously want our support to create a monopoly that will then argue against modern technology coming into the Belize.
Right.
Man, then days need to be over.
That's right.
Then days need to be over.
Lewis, you remember Magic Jack?
Uh-huh,
Magic Jack was
yes.
one of the VoIP,
Yeah.
the VoIP, things. And
Yeah.
so, anyways, I have the Magic Jack app on my phone now.
Exactly.
Right? So they
Yeah.
had to switch from the little
Right.
box.
Innovate.
They had to innovate and have an app, and so I paid for it, and I can call
Yeah.
landlines through my cell phone.
Yeah. Innovate or die.
That's right.
Carla, good morning.
Morning, Louis. Hello, Scott.
Good morning.
Morning, Kerm, you know. I couldn't make it in this morning.
Oh, Kerm, good morning.
Yes, good morning. I couldn't make it in this
Morning.
morning, but good morning to the Belizean people. out there.
Sitting in your chair this
No,
morning.
Excuse me. I'm calling because yesterday I was watching the press conference that you did, Jules and Multi. And my heart was ripped to pieces because we had to be on this side of the phone or camera or whatever we were looking on our device, having to listen to you gentlemen express the level of pain, the agony, the suffering you went through because you decided to speak on behalf of the interests of the Belizean people. It was evident. I mean, all three of you suffered greatly. I was listening to a live last night from RJ saying the very same thing. And it is very scary, it is concerning, it is unacceptable, the things that the people in this country go through when they choose to stand up and say they do not agree with wrong. It is unacceptable. That is a form of dictatorship. And this is what we see across the length and breadth of our country. In the workplace, it happens. That's why you have to try and pass our whistleblower legislation. Because whenever people decide to say, I don't agree, they become criminalized and they become the enemy of the ones who are actually the perpetrators. You see today even where it has gone so bad that if you witness a crime and people know that you see the crime, bad man becomes, so even the bad man in the street, they learn the street. You understand? And that concerns me greatly because it's not because they are not educated people in this country. Listen, we have more PhDs, we have more master's degree, we have more bachelor's degree associate degree than we ever had. So why is it then that it seems like we're losing our freedom, the fundamental things that's written in the preamble of our Constitution? Why is it that people are afraid to speak out? It is because of the power of victimization. And something needs to be done. You know, right now we see the opposition is in shambles. So if we don't have opposition in our country, what happens to the country? Really, what happens to your country? It's not because
we hate the politicians. It's not because we hate anybody. But right is right and wrong is wrong. And are there wrongs that's currently taking place in the country? You better believe there are. There are many, many wrongs. But the people are afraid to say something because, you know what, we'll buy a hammer kids at school. You know what, I have to try to protect my business interest. You know what, I have to protect my job. I have to protect something. And our leaders, they play on that, and our leaders, they need to wake up. Our leaders, they need to tighten up. Our leaders have to have a heart for this country. Because they cannot expect to be doing on whoever it is, whoever in whatever capacity. Whoever it is, our job as citizens of this country is to protect the future that should bring forth a promise to every citizen of belief. Yet, we don't have the right or the freedom to do that, because if we do, we get marginalized, we get attacked. We become the black sheep. It is wrong. It is absolutely wrong. And this is what government after government after government do to the people. And to me, I applaud you guys for speaking up this morning. I applaud any media house and any Belizean person who, when they see wrong, they say something. And you know, Louis, you guys were talking about it just a while ago. You know that this is why it is important for us to make our voices be heard. The country of Belize needs leadership. And that's a part of leadership. It's just a man, you know, you're doing something good, but then one of guys cannot accept it because it's unacceptable. It's wrong. Wrong is wrong. And so whoever chooses to speak, I pray that somehow we'll be able to power up a culture of people who speak up. You know, at the interview, I asked Jews that question. I said, Jews, what are they answer? What are they answer?
Very good.
Thank you.
So Jews said, boy, it's rough. Tough people now. Then what kind of leadership do we have? Are we become an oppressive state? Are we trying to follow Venezuela and Russia and China footprint? No, we cannot allow this country to go down that direction. That is very, very dangerous for our democracy. And so even though all of you people have their masters and PhD, where are they? Do you ever hear them becoming a part of the national discourse? You ever see anyone? They too need to tighten up. They too need to realize that we don't better never get a master's and a PhD degree if they refuse to see that our democracy faces challenges and their voices are important to come to the table. And so the challenges for all of us, to our political leaders, to our leaders in the different capacities, who see well and they choose to sit down and say nothing. We cannot continue to move forward in this direction. So thank you guys so much. Good morning.
Thank you very much. This person says, I want to applaud you and the other independent media houses for speaking on the proposed BTL acquisition of Smart SpeedNet and the cable providers and the disadvantages of creating a monopoly once again in Belize. It seems that you all need to jog the memory of Belizeans who forgot about the many limitations we all faced with the blocking of VoIP. Our well-educated intellectuals should be joining the cause to educate all of us more and shower bravery, love of country, and leadership. So I'm thinking, Scott, that was about what, 20 years ago? Was it that long? Are you telling me?
Something like that. 20 years ago would be 2006, so somewhere around there.
Kidding me? So at 20-year-old right now have a clue of what we're talking about.
That's
as
right.
It relates to voice.
That's right.
A 24-year-old would be 4 years old. A 30-year-old would be 20 years old. So even a 30-year-old, maybe 35-year-old high school person at that time wouldn't recall. So we're literally educating half of the country.
We're having to draw history. To let them know that it's trying to repeat itself.
Yeah, because one of the journalists who, again, just by virtue of the questions that he asked yesterday, some people don't say that it's a bat for Ashcroft. You know, he came to us afterwards and said, you know, I wish I have the institutional memory that you guys have. You know, I wish I have the institutional memory that you guys have. It's because, you know, I wasn't aware of some of these things.
I want to say at that point that's where you need to be careful about whether or not you should make comments if you don't have the institutional memory, the historical background to the whole situation.
Yeah, or be willing to change your mind when new information comes out, because like that's the open marketplace of ideas that I talk about. It's the ability to get so many voices that you're able to realign. Yeah. Or you can reaffirm your position, say, I've heard all of these things, but yeah, I think I want to stick to my position. Or to be able to say, okay, I think I could move because new information has come.
And we can still be friends when we see things differently.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. But Louis, let me ask you a question. Mm-hmm. Why did the government of Dean Barrow take away BTL?
Yeah. One of the reasons I could recall was that Ashcroft was getting ready to determine who would and who would not ride on this thing called fiber. Because I always see it from the perspective of the media house, like the phone and these other stuff. Well, you know, but it was issues of consolidating power. It was power, and that's why I believe it was done.
But was it not also though the stepping forward to a monopoly at that point right there? Yeah. That was part of the reason why the government of Dean Barrow stepped forward and took away BTL. Yeah. And Michael Ashcroft is still 77%
with Smart.
You know, with Smart. And then got pushed out of BTL. And now we're going back we're going to go back and buy the same, like, I cannot believe this. So those who fail to understand history are doomed to repeat it, right? And like, that's why we're saying institutional memory, to coin those words that, you know, that we use. But I call it historical perspective, to where we're not making the same mistakes. And so I want to say, people of Belize, we need to wise up. And Louis, you hit the nail on the head. When there's so many people that don't seem to understand, they can't grasp the concept of what's taking place. A lot of them, Louis, are just looking through either red or blue lenses in their glasses, and that's how they see the whole world. I find it very difficult to have a fruitful conversation with people that are like that, because they're not open to see anything differently.
Yeah. So I want the young people to know that there was a time that WhatsApp was banned in Belize. Telegram was banned.
Messenger.
The messenger part of Facebook was banned. Oh, you like that?
Everything else.
Twitter was banned.
Yes. Yeah. It was all banned because people were using the internet to be able to talk. And they clamped down. I felt like we were in Cuba.
Yes, exactly.
I felt like, oh my goodness, like they're actually controlling this, right? And so, but finally somebody realized this is like trying to hold back the wind. Yes. Let's invest, let's do this thing and get ready, because this is the wave of the future. And that's why I'm saying, BTL, who's sitting in this so-called buyer's market in this fiasco that we're in? It's BTL. Why? Because they saw what was coming down the pipe and they made the adjustment, and so they're in a position of strength. So, but again, we don't want to see a monopoly take place. It's not in the best interest for the people of Belize. And so, Louis, when Smart comes up with the price of these low-cost cell phones with a package deal, and then BTL sees that, where are they getting their phones, you know, and oh my gosh, they're getting them straight from Korea, you know, like, so we got to find straight from somewhere, we're going to go straight to China, or whatever. Competition keeps the market pure, keeps you on your toes.
Rather than depending on the government to regulate a monopoly.
Yes.
I mean, this is ridiculous.
And pay off the ones who failed to make the adjustment in the proper time. So Lord have mercy.
Right. So if PUC cannot speak now when there is competition, and can't even make up its mind to say, hey, this is bad for Belize. Like this debate literally shut down PUC. It shut down the Social Security Board, shut down the Telemedia Board to the point where Chandra Cancino has to write a resignation. It's probably going to shut down cabinet today. We don't know, because it's such powerful people that it shut down the dialogue. Now, how much more do you think when it becomes a monopoly and Telemedia says you have to protect us from Elon Musk or from Amazon because 600 people will lose? We don't know the argument. 600 people will lose their job. This is the amount of tax that we pay into the government to maintain their monopoly. Bowen and Bowen did the same with Bellikin Bear. They did the same with Coca-Cola. It is only now that we're drinking Pepsi. We live in a country where we couldn't drink Pepsi, couldn't find Pepsi.
Yeah.
These young people need to know that.
Yeah.
That monopoly blocked us. I think I will do another post.
You're just loading up the gun.
Loading up the gun.
Louis,
the listeners need to know that they had only Bellikin Bears cut and there was no other bear left. Not that I care, but
now that we're talking about all these products, I'll say this: should we take a break?
Yeah,
we need to give a commercial break for our sponsors, the ones that help keep us on the air.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah,
we'll take a break and we'll be right back. You're watching Rise and Shine live on PlusTV. We'll be right back.
Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me Sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me Sweet Belize. If I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go? Where would I go? Where would I spread my bed? Where would I lay my head? Nobody know. Nobody know. If I ever had to leave me home, no other place I ever roam could be like Belize. Be like Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me Sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me Sweet Belize. Creole and Garifuna, Mestizo and Maya, living in peace. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me Sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys.
From power tools to plumbing supplies, paints to light fixtures, at Benny's Kayo, we've got it all. Our extensive range of construction and household products ensures that you'll find exactly what you need, whether you're a seasoned contractor or a weekend do-it-yourselfer. Visit us at Mile 43 George Price Highway, Cotton Tree Village, just outside Belmopan, and discover the convenience, quality, and affordability that set us apart. Your next project starts here. Benny's, quality and savings.
Plex Home Builders is the largest house building company in Belize. Plex combines the best skilled workers, high-grade materials, and the latest technology to produce the highest quality wooden residential structures. Request any size, color, and the home layout you want. Choose from hardwood or painted metal outer walls. Plex can modify any of their existing house plans to your satisfaction, complete with all the installation services you need anywhere in the country, including ambergris key. They can also lift your house to your desired height up to 9 feet. From properly treated and cured lumber to quality sidings and floorings, let Plex Home Builders give your home the finish you need. For prices or questions, call 823-0398 or go to www.plexhomebuilders.com. Plex Home Builders, we build to suit your needs.
Hello Belmopan, welcome back to the second segment in this series of the Trade License Act 2024. I'm Councillor Chris Enriquez, and today we'll be discussing your business productive footprint and how it impacts your trade license fee. Let's break it down. Your business's productive footprint is the square footage of the area where your operations are conducted. It excludes common spaces such as agricultural lands, lobbies, restrooms, stairways, parking lots, storerooms, and shared hallways. unless they are used for profit. Your business falls under an economic classification based on your business type. This classification, as well as your zone, will further determine the rate applied to your business.
Hi, I'm Lauren Milton. I'm the Evaluation Manager here at the Beaumont City Council. I know a lot of people keep wondering what we're measuring when we visit their business. So let's take a closer look at what productive footprint looks like for the different types of businesses. As you can see, we measure the area used for business purposes only. This includes retail space, dining areas, or workspaces. For example, here's how the productive footprint is calculated for a coffee shop, a supermarket, and an office space, specifically an accounting firm. Let's take a coffee shop for instance. Here we see the kitchen, the bar, and the dining areas as productive space. What's noteworthy here is that a restaurant and an ice cream parlor has similar productive space as a coffee shop. Next, we have a supermarket. For this business, we measure the entire retail floor, including aisles, checkout counters, and display areas. The storerooms and employee break areas are excluded since they are not used to generate direct sales. Lastly, we look at an accounting firm office. The productive footprint here includes the client reception, conference rooms, and workspaces where the business's services are provided. Excluded are areas like break rooms, restrooms, kitchen, and non-operational storage. As you can see, productive footprint is the usable square footage where your business is conducted. This excludes common areas like lobbies, restrooms, and parking spaces, except in cases where these areas are used for profit. Remember, productive footprint looks different for different businesses, so be sure to accurately measure your premise to ensure your fees reflect your footprint. It is important to note that Schedule 8 of the Trade Licensing Act sets fixed trade license fees for specific classifications such as traveling professionals and auto dealers.
Knowing your economic classification and accurately measuring your productive footprint isn't the only factor in your trade license process. You must also consider that there are 4 municipal zones and that your business is located in one of them. Each zone has a different guideline that will affect the rate applied to your trade license fee. As a reminder, the new Trade License Act takes effect on January 1st, 2025. Businesses without a trade license by then are subject to penalties and fees. So we encourage everyone to apply early before the deadline, December 31st, 2024. Stay tuned to our next segment where we will answer your key questions. Thank you for watching, and let's build a prosperous Belmopan together.
Every project starts with the right tools. At Builders Hardware, we got everything to get the job moving. Tools, paint, plumbing, electrical, garden, it's all here from construction start to finish. We're also offering a different kind of power tool. Order anytime, anywhere. Pick up in store or get it delivered to your home. Go to shopbuildersbz.com today and save money with our exclusive online deals. Builders Hardware, making it easier.
Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me Sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the isles and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me Sweet Belize. If I ever had to leave Belize, if I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go? Where would I go? Where would I spread my bed? Where would I lay my head? Nobody know. Nobody know. If I ever had to leave my home, no other place I ever roam could be like Belize. Be like Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me Sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the isles and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me Sweet Belize. Creole and Garifuna, Mestizo and Maya, living in peace. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize, sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. If I ever had to leave Belize, if I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go? Where would I go? Where would I spread my bed? Where would I lay my head? Nobody know, nobody know. If I ever had to leave me home, no other place I ever roam could be like Belize, be like Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize, sweet Belize, land of the isles and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. Creole and Garifuna, Mestizo and Maya, living in peace. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize, sweet Belize, land of the isles and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. If I ever had to leave Belize, if I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go? Where would I go? Where would I spread my bed? Where would I lay my head? Nobody know, nobody know. If I ever had to leave me home, no other place I ever roam could be like Belize.
There's a PlusTV. We are live on this beautiful Tuesday morning, and we're going to shift the topic a little bit, just to give honor to a fallen colleague, because we lost Carlos Santos a couple years ago, and then over the past week we lost Senator Henry Gordon, who was a part of our team.
He graduated.
Yes.
He moved upstairs. Right, and so yes, but Louis, you were there at the funeral. I was there at the funeral also. I was dead dog tired because we had finished from the Global Leadership Summit around midnight. I laid down on my bed at midnight and got up early the next morning to go back into Belize City. But part of my goal was to be there for that funeral, right? And because Henry Gordon left a tremendous mark, I think, upon all of us that have stepped forward to be thinkers and try to feel out and figure out how does this thing fit together. But he set the standard in terms of understanding the Constitution and speaking of it and challenging us. He would challenge us concerning the Constitution and how that relates to our dynamics and our way of life in the nation of Belize. And so, yeah, there's a picture of Henry Gordon there together with you,
Yes,
Louis.
This was the last time that we met.
Yeah.
He came down to Belmopan and we sat together.
Yeah. And so, anyways, he will be sorely missed by us, but like I said, he moved upstairs, he graduated on to glory, and I want to be careful to say, I don't think there's any way that we could do what we're doing now, Louis, except for the challenges, the provocation, and the life example of Henry Gordon. And so it's like every time when I would talk with him, I would walk away feeling like I need to spend more time with him, because this man has a wealth of knowledge and understanding on these issues.
Yeah, he knew the Word of God. He taught the Word of God as a Sunday school teacher. Like, you know, there are many people teach Sunday school and they do it and stop, like they're plugging in for somebody, like they're filling in. I mean, like, he was a Sunday school teacher, and it's very interesting because he was buried at Bethany Baptist. This funeral was at Bethany Baptist, and if you will recall, the person who pastored that church, I don't know if he founded it, but at least from I was a child growing up, was Pastor Welch.
That's right.
That was like, he was the opposite personality of Henry Gordon, because Henry Gordon, Henry Gordon never went on a rant.
That's right. He was more intellectual, very calculated with his words.
Yes.
Pastor Welch was more like a stick of dynamite.
Yeah, he was an explosion, and so wonderfully so. Yeah,
Wonderful.
And wonderfully so, because Pastor Welch, he would preach on the side of the road by himself. He would go and set up somewhere, and man of God, I loved him. I miss him dearly as well.
He would come to our worship and prayer times in Belize City, and when he would start to pray, next thing you know, he's preaching, right?
Yeah.
But I loved his fire, right?
And again, Baptist pastor.
Yes. And so, but again, these are some of the leaders that have gone before us that impacted us. I would actually go so far as to say infected us, right? Their infectious faith, their enthusiasm for the kingdom. Henry Gordon more on an intellectual side, and Pastor Welch on that fiery side, right? But we owe a debt of gratitude to these leaders as well as many others, and each generation, Lewis, is pushing the thing farther forward. And so I'm in a place right now, Lewis, where I'm retooling. I'm retooling in my life, because I need to focus hard and heavy on this younger generation of leaders, right? And so, folks, did you know that 65% of the country of Belize is 25 and under? And 75% is 35 and under? 75, 3/4 of our country, Lewis, is 35 and under. And so I am retooling, and we are actually, I've been talking with Kerm about this. There's a whole branch of the Global Leadership Summit which is called GLS Next, and it's specifically for the next generation. There's a whole trove of videos and teachings that I haven't even seen yet, right? But it's specifically geared towards raising up this next generation of leaders and thinkers, and those are going to be the ones that are going to pick up the mantle and run. And so somebody needs to take over for Lewis, somebody needs to take over for Scott, somebody needs to take over for all of us, right? And we need to be very deliberate in raising up this next generation of leaders. And my main thing, Lewis, is to make sure that they're prepared for what's going to be in front of them.
Because I'm grateful that we were able to sit under the tutelage of Henry Gordon. He came here every Friday, brought his Bible, brought his Constitution, set one on top of the other. Well, his Bible was on top of that Constitution, but he led us through it, helped us to understand it, to see how it applied, and we have been better for it. He took the time. When he couldn't drive, he took the bus. He refused to take a penny for fuel. That was just the kind of man. And then when we used to have those telethons because we were taking a licking, he would still contribute to that. He would come down when he could. I mean, and of course you guys do the same. But Henry was different in the evangelical circle because, of course, he had walked the halls of power. It never affected his Christianity, like there was no pride, there was humility, there was willingness to teach. He lived by example. I always remember a story that he told when we talk about addiction, or when we talk about nothing should control you. Nothing should control, like sober-mindedness, and that only the Holy Spirit should control you. He gave an example, Scott, of going every Friday to Bluebirds on Albert Street to get ice cream. And every Friday, religiously, he would go to pick up his ice cream and pick up his newspaper. You see, and one day when he was halfway there, the Holy Spirit convicted him as to why is it that you are going for ice cream religiously. That it had become like such a routine in his life that he questioned whether or not this was controlling him, that is ice cream controlling me to the point where this is every Friday, and he turned back. Yeah. Now, to some people that might sound like a stupid example or insignificant, but for me, like that was to the core of me. Because it's not about the ice cream, it's about the control. And that he was walking out his Christianity in such a way that he was measured. It wasn't a matter of am I sinning or not sinning, or no, he was secure in his belief, but just the principle that nothing should just drive me automatically, not even ice cream.
That's right.
You know, and
That's
he turned back. And then he said, I just, yes. Like when he would go for ice cream, it was a decision as opposed to just an automatic.
No more every Friday, right?
Right, no more,
So,
right.
yes,
You know,
yes.
a very, very simple story, but I remember it as being very profound, because yes, we should allow only the Holy Spirit to be our guide, and I should not become addicted to anything, my character, my behavior. Very simple story, and he told me many other areas of his life. But you say it right. Like for me at this point, sitting there on Saturday, he said like the next generation. Like there needs to be now many more of him. He has affected us positively, transformatively, because we are so now involved in national affairs as much as we are involved in the things of God. We are a part of that salt and light, literally in the earth, in the nation, literally in every way, thanks to even his, his guidance in some of those areas. But as I sat there, so like, we will not always be here, and there needs to be, because like how he treated his family, his colleagues, like it was right across the board. It wasn't just a flash in the pan. It wasn't just okay, while I'm on television, here's going to be my personality. And no, it was right across the board. I want to see a generation of people like Henry Gordon, who could walk the halls of power, yet have that powerful relationship with God. It never moved him. God was number one, the people were number two, and political party was number three. And he was the Secretary General of the United Democratic Party. That's the highest position that you can have outside of leader of the party. And he was cab sec. And I was not there as a senator. I was there as his friend and as a student, a person who loved him dearly and who he helped to build who I am today. That's why I was there. So when the official part and the protocol and the other people, those, the Governor General and so on, they left when the official part is over, I stayed because I was not there as a church senator. I was there as a friend and a person who has been radically impacted for the kingdom of God through his life.
And Louis, you were mentored.
Yes.
You were mentored by Henry Gordon.
Yes, absolutely.
Because you took seriously what you saw in his life, right?
Absolutely.
And I just want to mention this to us. It's true for every one of us. Every one of us, you could be mentored by whoever you want to be mentored by taking seriously their input. I was mentored by Billy Graham. Never met the guy before in my life, but we esteem leaders. I'm lifting my hands upward because they are farther along in the Lord than we are. We esteem those leaders, and part of how we do that is by listening careful to those words. And Billy Graham said something in his older years. Somebody asked him, if you had to do it over again, what would you do different? And Billy Graham's response was, I'd do it with a lot more love. And so he was known as a fire and hellfire, brimstone preacher in his younger years, and then he became more and more focused, actually became more and more anointed as he became more and more focused, but he also became more patient and more gracious. And then when somebody asked him, if you had to do anything over again, what would you do different? I would do it with a lot more love. I was in my 30s when I heard that, Louis, And that zapped me to my core. That changed my life. It changed my marriage. It changed my fatherhood. It changed the way that I related to younger leaders. I thought, okay, wait. If Billy Graham said that if he had to do it over again, he'd do it with more love, I need to start to do it with more love right now. I'm in my 30s. I need to start to do it with more love right now. So I just want to encourage everybody that we be deliberate about our lives, be deliberate about our faith, about our relationship with God, but also be deliberate about the influence that we touch other people's lives with, right? So I just want to encourage you all.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for joining us this morning. And we stand on principle, as I said yesterday. We never got into television to make money. I wish we did. Maybe we would have a different mindset. But it was just because there was that missing Judeo-Christian ethic. That's right. The way of looking at the world from a biblical perspective, a biblical point of view. And I give God thanks for the opportunity to be a part of this work. That is PlusTV and that is Rise and Shine, and to sit with gentlemen like yourself, Scott, it is an honor. As I said, yesterday, there was a time we had 14 workers, 14. We are down to maybe 7, maybe 8. My wife had to come in. My son is in. It's like you guys remain so connected to us. It's fragile, and we speak, and many times, we see the money walk through the door. You know that by touching this topic, some big, it just, and you just know that you just have to do it. You just have to speak it, and that, well, if it is God, and if it is of God, it will. Like God can't. If God closes it, it's closed, and if God says it stays open, it stays open. And we just got to do what God has called us to do.
That's right.
And we have to be true to our values. So, like some people think, oh, well, who did pay you this time? And, oh, why you're silent? And why this and that? And, well, I can only do the best that I can. I remember Richard, I think at the last Saturday morning, Richard introduced me as something about controversy. And a lot of people don't like this guy and something like that. I was like, well, what can I do to my own self be true,
That's right.
I don't think people will like me if I stand up against marijuana, if you want to sell marijuana. Like, I don't know, but I can't make my determination of how I speak based upon who will hate me when I'm done,
Right.
It's like...
Right is right and wrong is wrong.
What can I do and what can I say, So... even when we started Hedges, like one of the guys, why is he so whatever kind, or why is he doing this? He must want to run for political office. I mean, it's like the farthest thing from my mind. So it was like I'm establishing my portfolio, and there's still people out there, Scott, who think that I'm establishing some great portfolios. I'm like, what can I say? These people who know
what you are establishing is a great life and a great legacy and great influence.
We're doing what God has called us to do, and we're trying to do it as godly as we possibly could.
That's right.
And to be good
Pray for
stewards.
us, please. I'm so grateful, Louis, for all the people that I see on the streets all over the nation of Belize that say,
absolutely.
Pastor Scott, we pray for you and Pastor Wade and all of the others. We pray for you guys every day. So we're grateful for that. That's right.
The glory, and may we pass on to the next generation a better Belize than we found it, and a Belize that loves the Lord, and a Belize where the gospel of Jesus Christ can just be preached without distraction, without obstacles. That is my heart, that people will be able to, in the next generation, continue to preach in the schools, be it government or private. In the park, you can set up your sound system and preach the gospel, and that this is my heart, that the next generation will be able to know God even more than we do.
Thank you, Lord.
God bless you, Belize. See you tomorrow.
Louis, thanks. Blessings, Belize.
Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me Sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef.